Hello ladies and gentlemen, Gabes here. This is the normal and heroic DPS guide for Twin Ogron. This encounter is quite simple, very close second in terms of simplicity after Kargath Bladefist, and it's appropriate because it's the second non-skippable boss, so there you go. This fight revolves around keeping the Ogron together, since they're twins, they like each other a lot, avoiding the avoidable mechanics such as fire and charge, and having your tanks properly positioned, the Phemos Ogron in particular, when he does his whirlwind. So we'll get started by talking about Phemos and his abilities. The three basic abilities are used at 33, 66, and 100 energy, respectively. And because Phemos starts off at full energy with the fight, you'll initially see a Quake plus a Blaze combination right at the start of the fight. And Blaze itself, where he throws two weapons around the inner circle of the room, is by far the most dangerous and needs to be focused on by all raid members, including DPS, and avoided at all costs. The fire that spits out kind of travels in lines, but those lines curve in various patterns. So you want to do your best to always dodge in between the gaps of fire as it comes at you. And I'm assuming your raid is going to be tanking along a wall, kind of like we are here, so you're avoiding half of the fire potentially. Still, the stacking dot from the blaze fire is extremely dangerous, so if you get more than 3 or 4 stacks, you'll definitely want to use a personal cooldown to help survive, because the rest of the damage on the fight is very moderate, so your healers can easily keep up with the rest of it, but they may need help during the blaze. 33 energy, Phemos should be pulled out of the raid by your tank and use his whirlwind. You don't have to worry about that. You can just keep attacking pole at that time. And enfeebling roar is the other really important thing that you need to watch your own positioning for. This ability basically is a massive debuff that increases damage taken for a very long period of time. It starts off at 300% damage taken for 300 seconds. However, it will split both the damage taken and the longevity based on the number of players that are hit. So if 2 players are hit, it's 150% damage taken, 150 seconds, and so on. It keeps going down. So ideally, when Enfeebling Roar is being cast at 66 energy on Phemos, everyone should be stacked up tight on Phemos himself, because it's a short radius. And this includes DPS and everything. Since it doesn't affect your DPS output, it's no problem at all to get hit by it, and it will help out the damage mitigation and healing of the entire raid. So next up we have Pull, and Pull would be tanked pretty much stationary the entire time, just in one position. Melee DPS can always be attacking from behind, opposite where the tank is, of course, and it should also be opposite where the ranged DPS are. Again, assuming your strategy is similar to the one we're using here. For this reason, ranged DPS will be standing behind the tank of Pull, just out of melee range in most cases. And this is changed for soaking up the Enfeebling Roar, as we mentioned before. But otherwise, if you're just outside of melee range, this will help you with Pull's first ability, which is Shield Charge. So at 33 energy, he will charge toward a random raid member that is outside of melee range. And therefore, if your entire range team is stacked up in one position, he will charge toward that position every time. So you'll know where he's going and you can easily sidestep to avoid it. Interrupting Shout at 66 energy is pretty obvious. It will interrupt your casts, so make sure you watch him casting that and stop, just so you can avoid getting silenced for a short period. Finally, Pulverize is pretty simple. It's a series of 3 ever-increasing casts that he'll use. So the first one, when he's about to do it, you'll want to spread out very slightly, because it will deal damage to you and anyone within about 3 yards of you for the first cast. So for ranged in particular, you want to spread out. Melee can kind of just spread around the boss. Again, it's a very short radius. The second cast is unavoidable, just a few damage rocks coming down. And then the final pulverized cast is one giant rock, very obvious graphic on the ground, and you want to move away from that because you take more damage the closer to the center you are. It'll also knock you back slightly. Once that third pulverized giant rock hits, then you can go back to your stacked position and prepare for the next ability. And believe it or not, that's everything. It's, like I said, a very simple fight for DPS in particular. Just avoid the fire primarily. That's the biggest thing you can do to help your raid out. Stack up for Enfeebling Roar, and then spread out for the initial cast of Pulverize. And if you do all three of those things and keep DPSing, it doesn't matter which target you DPS because they share health. So you can just go to town and you get them down pretty easy. That is the DPS guide for Normal and Heroic Twin Ogron. So, as always, good luck, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.